Hiroshima Day, and ironically, it's really the day the war in Iraq started. I was at the Pentagon on Hiroshima Day in 1990, and George Bush and Martin Thatcher stand up and announced the sanctions on Iraq. So it's really over a 21-year war, and of course on Afghanistan as well. For us, as I mentioned before, we really think this is where hope is to be found in the actions of Michael Lyons and Joe Brennan. And we believe hundreds of other people who have fallen through these gates before this war is over. And we believe as the country workers that 1% of the people who marched against this war in '03 in Iraq had gone to prison in the spirit of Michael Lyons, King and Gandhi, and 99% of them had supported them like we are doing today, then we could have stopped this war. And that what we need is more non-violent resistance and more solidarity. And that non-violent resistance will come from the places you least expect it, from the British Navy, for example. That's where Michael has come from. And as someone who I've spent 2 years in prison in the United States and Australia and Ireland for anti-war resistance, I can tell you from that experience that what we're doing today has an enormous effect on the atmosphere in that jail and on Michael's well-being and his spirit and his safety. And you can't underestimate taking that out and not come out kind of mingle militantly outside of here. It's been very, very significant and shouldn't be understated. And hopefully we'll be hearing from Ben Griffin as he comes out. But it's also, in my experience, a lot of the resistance has really come out of the American and British military. I know when I was in prison in the United States for damaging a B-52 in the first Gulf War, I served 13 months in jail, and that was the longest sentence a civilian protester got. But there were 400 members of the US military who served between 6 months and 6 years for their non-violent resistance. And they really need to be hearing from us. They might have different hairstyles, probably. They might have different musical tastes. They might have different life experiences, but we've got to transcend that, get over ourselves, and reach out to them. And it's just in my minimal contact with Michael's family, with Lillian, getting calls from her today, her spirits are very lifted that we've come here to stand with her husband. And that's all we can do really in a time where George Bush declared a never-ending war, and it's a war that has no popular support anywhere, or very little visible opposition. People have grown very weary 10 years into it, and we've just got to nourish a community that can keep So I might ask Naomi to say a few things about the Bradley Manning case. We know Michael was directly influenced by WikiLeaks and the positions he took.
Not bravery of someone who is sticking up for what they believe in, but sticking up what they believe in against the mighty of democracy.
Move in closer to here.
A bureaucracy that has, standing up for what you believe in, standing up for what you believe in against the mighty bureaucracy that has the power to take sanctions against you. That's something I find incredibly admirable, and even more so from being active in Bradley Manning's case. Bradley's now been in military detention in the United States for over a year. His trial is still at least 6 months away. We've not been really able to go to him. For the first 10 months of Bradley's detention, he was being kept in conditions which have generated wide international concern and are the subject of investigation by the UN. What Bradley's accused of doing, as you probably know, is releasing evidence of war crimes and documentation which tells us much more than we've ever known before about how the way war is practiced in the 21st century, in the way diplomacy is practiced in the 21st century, and the way unlawful detention is practiced in the 21st century. And releasing that information so that people can see what's been going on, and brave people like Michael Lyons can make incredibly brave decisions based on accurate information about events that maybe they wouldn't have had all information about. So, it's very sort of
So
Thanks,
just going to have a poem and then Gwyn. Yeah? Just going to have a poem first. Yeah.
I have written this poem. They fill the clouds with poisonous rain. World leaders who drove people insane. They turn their backs on justice and reason. It must be said that love survives though flesh be dead, and the memories remain forevermore. The lies they make, the wrongs they do, must be revealed in all the true colors. The time has come to overthrow the leaders of nations who break all laws of humanity. So bring them down and show them shame, so they will never rise again. And human life will be free from tyranny and hatred that kills all hope of survival. And sorrows may be no more. But as we said before, if love could find the way into the hearts of leaders today, they will have something better to do and say, but they're deceiving. When children die and parents weep, how can we allow such cruelty to reap? As the blood of innocence runs, when and how we silence their horrid guns with the Geneva Convention above the weapons of mass deception. But they continue to fight. As we all know, too many wrongs don't make things right. And the truth is far from sight. When fools are led by madmen. That was for Blair and Bush. Thank you, comrade. Thank you.
Griffin. I'm a former British soldier. I refused to serve in Iraq in 2005. Left the army as a result of that. As you all know, we're here today to celebrate the courageous action that Michael Lyons has taken in refusing to deploy to Afghanistan, and also to encourage other resistance, more resistance within the UK military to these wars in Iraq, Afghanistan and Libya. We've just been in to see Michael. Myself and Martin, Stefan and his mum, who should be joining us shortly. Oh, here she is. Jill. And he's in very good spirits. He's cracking jokes with us. He's a really sound guy. He told us how he developed a conscience over a period of time, first to the war in Afghanistan and now to war. And he's keen to join the peace movement and to be active in opposing wars once he gets out of this prison here. The prison isn't too bad. He's getting fed well. He says he spends most of his time in the library, educating himself. It doesn't seem like he's getting bullied or hassled from the establishment in there. It seems like he's got very high spirits and he's doing really well. We've got Michael's mum here. I don't know, would you like to say a few words? Or you don't have to. But
I'd just like to say I'm really, really proud of Mike and what he's done and the awakening of conscience that he's had. And it certainly pulled me back to my former years of being a member of CND and the sort of peace process that I was involved in when I was young and idealistic. And I actually think that idealism, the kind of idealism that Michael's developed, is actually truth. And because it's simple, people have been saying that he's naive. But I actually think sometimes truth is simple because it's beautiful. And well, you know, how great it would be if we really do start moving towards a world where we don't think that blood is the way to peace.
There's going to be a vigil outside. He just thought that we were going to visit him, and he was really impressed and really appreciative. We told him there were 15 people here. I think there's probably more people than that. There's more. So, and he was really, really amazed and really appreciative of you guys turning up. I mean, Stefan, myself and Martin and Jill have been in to see him, so if any of you have got any questions that that we haven't answered for you.
Martin's going to make a statement.
Well, I was going to say partly what you were just saying. I think when we told him that people outside here, and anything we told him that made his stand worthwhile was really important to him. That he knows he's not wasting his time objecting and being in there. We were talking about the conditions in there, and I said, well, I was in Bedford and Belmarsh for a few months, and this is a lot nicer. On the other hand, I'm not married. He's married. He's missing his wife, but also he's not being paid while he's in there, so they get no money. So they're struggling financially. So I think his family would appreciate any support that they could get.
Can I ask you a question? Is there going to be another vigil? One.
Next vigil?
Yeah, in theory, we hope to sustain a monthly vigil here while there's anyone in jail there. And it'll probably be the weekend of the 3rd or the 4th, the Saturday or the Sunday.
Of September.
Yeah.
And if anyone else wants to go and visit Michael, you can fill out a form.
My name is George Riva. I belong to an organization called Payday Men's Network. We work with the Global Women's Strike in London, in the States, and in Guyana. In particular, we work with refuseniks, and we've been supporting a refusenik for a long time. And I'm very glad that today, in fact, there was such a gathering with connection drawn between Bradley Manning, Joe Glanton, Michael Lyons, because these are part of what we think is an international movement. They're the tips of the iceberg of really people saying, we don't want to kill for you, we don't want to rape for you, we don't want to torture for you. And also, I'm extremely glad that Michael's mother is here, because we've been supporting the refuseniks, but also the main supporters. We often found the main supporters are the women in the family. And that's what cannot be lost in what we do.
Here's representing Martin on trial, and Seeds of Hope women, and great woman, great lawyer. And it's quite interesting, not that I understand the internet that much, but the whole WikiLeaks thing, Batman accused of releasing the cables, Julian spreading it around, and here we have, as a result of that, Michael taking such a strong and moral stance. Just to say again, we're the Catholic worker. We have a community in Oxford. Sister Susan was sentenced there for breaking into Aldermaston on Friday, sentenced. Maria is from our farmhouse, where we have 10 refugee women and women who have been trafficked into England. And that's quite close to Northwood headquarters, and we've sustained resistance there throughout the war in Afghanistan. And we have a house in Baghdad where we have refugees from Iraq and Afghanistan and all sorts of other places. So you're most welcome to visit us and make contact with us. We're a very inclusive group. We don't try and convert anybody. We've got 1.2 million Catholics, we're happy with those kind of numbers. We just work non-violently and laterally with people, and it was really touching. I expected 5 or 6 people here today. Colchester. It's a private centre. So thank you once again. Thanks everyone for coming.